All right. Hi.
Hello.
So we're going to talk about your post-observation that we conducted last week. So before we start, why don't you tell me how you think it went? How did everything go?
Reflecting back, I feel like it was the first time my students were actually having to think in a way that my goal is always by the end of the year, them to do it independently. So it was a little rough for what I had expected for them, but they were overall doing what I wanted them to do, which is, like I said, they kind of just gotta jump off the cliff. They're always so worried about making mistakes. And so I wanted them to try, and if they failed, it was okay as long as they justified it with reasoning. Give me some evidence, give me a reason why you saw what you did. And I feel like overall, it was good for it being the first lesson of them getting out of their comfort zone and challenging themselves, and knowing it's okay to fail. Like,
Right.
Scientists fail all the time, but yet it's a successful career because someone can build up with it.
Right. So that's really good. I noticed that you said you want them to be able to justify with evidence, and I know that is one of our key strategies in the science department right now. Do you think that your students are doing that, justifying? Did they do a good job in this?
With this activity, I think they did well with it. Were they doing well with it before? No, that's why we did it. And so we've been practicing since. And so I think it was a good introduction to what I actually want them doing.
Good. Your objective for the lesson was that students will predict, observe, and identify which property of water is demonstrated through each lab. How do you feel the objective went? Do you think that they accomplished your objective?
I would say my goal is always 90% meeting the objective before we'd ever move on. Even though I know it's supposed to be 100%, I kind of realize that's not always, we'd be stuck forever if
Right.
that was the case. So I feel like the majority of where I wanted them at for meeting my objective, they were. So we were good to keep going with molecules from there on.
All right. Is there anything reflecting back that could have gotten higher percentage?
Probably having it a full length of a lesson, I think, for a little bit more
Yeah.
depth, like just specific clarifications from me trying to fit everything in a 35-minute time frame. I feel like it just was shortened for that reason.
Yeah.
Things that I know I could have done better, they could have used better instructions, not just verbally and just the snippets of what I
Yeah.
had on the board. If I had more time to like have more things written down either on their paper or on the board for them or somewhere at the station, I feel like it would have been a little bit better. Because like I think they might have even missed that they had 5 minutes per station because I just threw it in at the end, I think.
Right.
For them, and then I figured they would catch on to the trend with the timer if
Right.
they missed it. I was just hoping it was going to keep it in track. So.
Okay. So mainly planning it on a day where you had more time would be
Yes.
your biggest addressing that. So another key instructional strategy that we have at our school is incorporating the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking. And you had written that as one of your goals pre-observation. How well do you think each one of them did? If you want to elaborate on each one: collaboration,
Okay.
communication.
Yep, normally collaboration, I usually focus on having assigned roles. And when I go to the lab, I kind of just hope it naturally makes them work as a team when they have a lab
Right.
group. And so instead of having roles, they each had their own piece of paper, so that way they held accountable. But I feel like they were doing a good enough job bouncing off ideas that they didn't need one person to be the person doing it.
Yeah.
The other person asking questions, the other person writing. Just because, like I said, one of those, when you know you're doing actual science, they just buy into it
Right.
so much more. Like, it's management in itself, it's creative in itself, it kind of takes care of it. So I feel like they were collaborating enough that I would want them. Could have they done more at a higher level? Probably. We could have built off of this, of course, and that's the overall goal is to build off of it and take it and put it into a system then. And I hope by that point we can come up with a more collaborative project from it when we get to like photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Actual process itself. But for what my intention is and where we're at in the unit, yes, I feel like we did collaborate where we should be. And then what is our next C that we have on the list?
Communication.
Communication.
Which is kind of
It's
the
very
same as
similar.
collaboration.
Yeah, it is. And that's they do communicate the results. So like the next day we did a wrap up and they had to in their teams share what they got to check that we all saw the same thing. Like some of the groups couldn't get the
Right,
paperclip
I saw that.
to
To
actually float on its
right.
own, but then they were kind of catching on to each other, so I made sure that everyone got what we should have. Even
Okay.
if their answer, I told them, as long as they reasoned, we are okay. If you didn't get the exact answer, that's okay. I just need you doing what our objective was. And so they did really good with that. So
Critical thinking?
Critical thinking. So this was one thing that when I have a lesson that's towards the beginning of a unit or just like middle of what we're learning, sometimes I find it harder to slip in the higher level thinking.
Yeah.
But at the end of the unit, I seem to have a little bit easier time doing it. And so the only thing I could think of was their ending question, which I felt like was pretty higher level for me because we haven't talked about membranes and we hadn't talked about the biomolecules yet.
Right.
So then we hadn't talked really structure function. So now that we've gone over them, I want to go back to it, and I do a breakdown for claim evidence and reasoning, and I'm gonna have them break down their answer to their question for that day. So it is higher level, in my opinion, when we get to that point. So it was a good question for them.
I observed what I thought was critical thinking. I think like you have guiding questions in there. It's probably hard for you because you're in the moment to realize that there was that higher level thinking, but when you're talking to them about, what forces are acting on the water, so what is it going against, that was getting them to think critically, so I think you did a good job there. What about for creativity?
For creativity, they themselves might not have been creative, but I always want them thinking, Mrs. Sweeney came up with this idea to demonstrate it. So that was pretty creative, and then I want them tying it to everyday life. So that was like, if they could catch on that they have a clear cup, and they look at the straw and the water line doesn't match up and things like that, it's them thinking in a way that's like, oh, that's science, but I'm living it every day, which we don't always think of as creative, but it's just thinking like a scientist in a natural way, and to me, that alone is being creative.
Right, good.
That's what I was trying to get them to do.
All right. So overall, I think it was really good. I think you did hammer home the 4 C's really well with this activity. I got to see the kids really engaged, and that's always fun to see. A couple things that are very minor that I think would help things move a little bit smoothly is that timer. If you gave them like a 1 minute heads up, say, hey, you guys have 1 minute left on the timer. How many of you guys think you're going to be able to finish this in 1 minute? Because there's some that like are trying to think critically and trying to process the information that maybe like, I know we had a time crunch that day, but maybe saying, okay, well, I'll give you guys an extra minute, something like that. And then I was wondering, did you have I saw you did like small group instructions every once in a while, going from group. Did you have a rotation you're going through, or was it just like you saw a need and you went there?
You know what, I didn't have a strategic one set up, and I usually just focus on need, but that is something that, now that you brought to my attention, that would be a really good thing to plan out for next time. Like, I've never even thought to like strategize. I always want to just make sure, like, if I find my leaders, and I know they're like really strong, I'm like, oh, you guys are good, I usually try to back off, and then if they have someone that I know is kind of struggling, then I can focus with them. But no, that's really good though. I should probably consider that. That's really good suggestion, actually.
Like I said though, everything was well thought out, well planned, and your kids were engaged, and I saw the 4 C's, so you did really well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
I do not. I appreciate your feedback. That's something, like, I always like constructive criticism, and that's good. Like, not even noticing I wasn't counting down. Normally I do that, you know what I mean? Such a good reminder that I keep doing it. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.